Number 10. Camp Sentry. Camp Sentry was built in 1959 by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, deep underground in Greenland. It was created about 150 miles from the Thule Air Base in one of the most inhospitable places on the planet. Temperatures here can reach as low as -70 degrees Fahrenheit, with winds at a blistering 125 miles per hour. The annual snowfall is over 4 feet. But despite these extreme challenges, the Army constructed a sprawling base beneath the surface of the ice within just 2 short years. It housed about 200 soldiers and used a PM-2 portable nuclear reactor to power all the equipment. Naturally, this was a very secret base. All the work they were doing in Greenland was covered up as scientific research. But in truth, Camp Sentry was built for Operation Iceworm, which was an attempt to figure out how to deploy nuclear missiles from under the ice. The attempt was a failure though. The Army had wanted to build a significantly larger base capable of deploying at least 600 missiles at one time. Camp Sentry was supposed to have 60 launch control centers and 11,000 soldiers living day and night beneath the ice. But none of this proved technically feasible, and Project Iceworm was canceled in 1963. The Greenland ice sheet was simply too unstable. The Army was in constant danger of their tunnels collapsing, and if they started shooting off nuclear bombs, their whole facility would have undoubtedly fallen apart. If the project continued, it's highly likely that millions of dollars worth of equipment, along with many lives, would have been lost. Number 9. Secret CIA Weapons Facility. Just north of San Antonio in Texas, there is Camp Stanley, a low-key military weapons storage facility. It's also home to some of the most mysterious weapons in the CIA's arsenal, including a wildly dangerous explosive stockpile. At least, this is according to documents leaked by a retired CIA official who happens to live in the San Antonio area. This base is referred to by those who know its contents as the Midwest Depot. It has been tied to rebel groups from Nicaragua, fighters in Afghanistan, and even Cuban exiles before the invasion of the Bay of Pigs. This is the base where all the weapons that arm the rebels allegedly come from. Retired CIA analyst Alan Thompson is the one who's giving the press a lot of this information. Thompson claims all those AK-47s and RPGs that you see being waved around on TV by militant fighters in the Middle East, yeah, they come from this secret CIA weapons facility in San Antonio. But just to be clear, this is all based on documents published by Thompson. We know he did indeed work for the CIA between 1972 and 1985, but the facility has never actually let anyone in to see what kind of weapons they might be hiding. Number 8. Secret Nazi Hideaway. There is a secret Nazi base in a rather unlikely place, and on the opposite side of the world than you might be thinking. This base, a covert Nazi hideaway, can be found today in the middle of the Andean jungle of Argentina. As you may already know, Argentina has a long history with Nazi Germany. They were pro-Nazi in the 1940s, and in the aftermath of the war, Argentina harbored plenty of war criminals. If you were a bad guy in Germany, you could flee to Argentina, and many did. Well, archaeologists have now discovered a physical piece of this rather disturbing history. Researchers with the University of Buenos Aires found 3 abandoned buildings in the middle of the jungle in the provincial park of Teucuare that were built specifically for sheltering fugitive Nazis. They found all kinds of artifacts within the abandoned buildings, such as German coins, German porcelain dishes that undoubtedly came from Europe, and even swastikas carved into the stone of the structure. The research team told local news they believe the site is connected to a plot to house the last remnants of Nazi leadership in the Argentine jungle. But unfortunately, we don't actually know who was hiding here, for how long, or where they went after getting tired of living in the jungle. There are some that believe Hitler himself stayed in one of these secret bases, though there is no actual proof that he stayed in these ones. Number 7. The Cunha Field Station Navy Base. The Cunha Field Station is an intelligence base for the Navy and Army, first developed after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. The Army knew that they needed a serious base in Hawaii that would be able to withstand an attack by an enemy, or preferably see one coming and prevent it from ever happening. After the surprise of Pearl Harbor, America was not interested in being snuck up on again. The base was built mostly underground, completely bomb-proof, just 15 miles, 24 kilometers from Honolulu. In the final year of World War II, Kunia turned into an intelligence and cryptologic compound. I'm talking about communications, post support, and things like that. Kunia has always been occupied by intelligence forces. The more time went on, the more modern the base got and the more sophisticated the intelligence. While it's impossible for us to say what's going on in the base today, we do know that Edward Snowden worked at Kunia. And we all know Edward Snowden, the guy who revealed top secret information from the PRISM surveillance program. You know, the one where the US Army was proved to be spying on every single US citizen. Well, this is the base where all that spy data was getting analyzed. Do you believe the government is really spying on everyone? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you are liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 6. Alaskan Area 51. We've all heard of Area 51, but did you know that Alaska has its very own Area 51 type base? Well, it does. In fact, Alaska has plenty of military bases and abandoned projects throughout its vast wilderness. One of the most fascinating is something called the High Aural Aurora Research Project. The secret military base operated from between 1990 and 2014 with help from the United States Air Force and the United States Navy. But nobody actually knows what really went on here. We know that the main component of the facility was an ionospheric research instrument, which is a type of phased array of antennas evenly spaced over a massive patch of 33 acres of land. The instrument radiated about 3.6 megawatts directly into the ionosphere. It makes sense that the station was used to study the Earth's atmosphere, but some people think there was something else going on. Some believe the giant array of antennas may have been used to control the weather. And if not to control the weather, then to disrupt communications systems in Russia. But the truth is that this is all speculation and we just don't know. Number 5. Russia's Arctic. In 2021, satellite images revealed a giant buildup of Russian military in the Arctic. The satellite images were reported by CNN, with the news agency going on to say that Russia is amassing an unbelievably huge military force in the Arctic. What are they doing in their secret Arctic base? That's probably something the US military would love to know for themselves. All we can say for sure based on the satellite photographs is that they are testing new weapons in the region. And because the Arctic is very quickly losing a lot of its ice and getting warmer, it's the perfect time to start building bases in a bid to secure the area and lock down some major shipping routes from between Asia and Europe. And here's where things get really scary. Russia also appears to be testing out an unmanned stealth torpedo, a superweapon called the Poseidon 2M39. Christopher A. Ford with International Security says these torpedoes are capable of overflowing coastal American cities with radioactive tsunamis. Number 4. A base in the ice. Vostok Station was founded by the Soviet Union in 1957. It's located in Princess Elizabeth Land, Antarctica, and is used today as a research station. It's the southern pole of cold, where daily temperatures can reach a shocking negative 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit. From what we know, their research includes drilling into the ice and magnetometry. This means they are constantly observing changes to the magnetosphere of our planet. They also study geophysics, climatology, and medicine. There are normally 25 scientists and engineers here in the summer, with only 13 staying through the winter. Living here is basically like living in space. In fact, living at this isolated station can cause serious problems. In 1959, a man got so upset after one of the other scientists beat him in a game of chess that he attacked the other man with an ice axe and murdered him. The Soviets then banned the game chess at their stations. And while we don't know if this base is doing any secret military work, we definitely can't rule it out. If the US had a secret nuclear base in Greenland and covered it up as a research station for decades, It's safe to say the Russians could do the same thing. Number 3. Inside Cheyenne Mountain. The Cheyenne Mountain Complex is without a doubt one of the most indestructible secret bases anywhere on American soil. It's located in the Cheyenne Mountain of Colorado Springs, literally inside the mountain. It was designed back in the 1950s during the height of the Cold War to be the most hardened command and control center in the US. If things would ever go completely sideways, this was where the main heads of state and all those most important government people would be bunkering down and commanding the military. In fact, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex is still very functional today. When it first opened in the later part of the 1960s, it was the main NORAD Combat Operations Center. They mainly just watched for any missiles that might be sent to North America. But over time, the bunker evolved. It now houses military operations from just about every branch, including the Air Force Space Command, the U.S. Strategic Command, and the U.S. Northern Command. Stephen Rose, the deputy director of the complex, says there are over a dozen different government and Department of Defense agencies working inside. Some of them are so secret he can't even publicly name them. Number 2. Lookout Mountain Laboratory. Lookout Mountain Laboratory is a secret film studio used by the US military and located in the Hollywood Hills. But this is one film studio whose name you are not supposed to remember. For the past 20 years, the military has created thousands of films at this one laboratory, and they've all been classified. The studio was established in secret in 1947, first to create videos on atomic bomb tests that were taking place in Nevada, New Mexico, and the South Pacific. Between 1947 and 1969, about 19,000 classified films were made here, more than actual Hollywood productions. There are also rumors that the military has helped conduct advanced research for Hollywood, perhaps even involved with 3D technology. It's even been said that Hollywood brass were given special clearance to check out the facility at Lookout Mountain. Though, to be completely honest, we have no idea what Hollywood bigwigs and top US officials could possibly be colluding about at the most secret film studio in the world. Number 1. Abandoned Afghanistan Base. There was once a secret base outside Kabul in Afghanistan, a place where some pretty terrible atrocities took place. There was a compound here called Eagle Base, where the US trained Afghan counterterrorism units. They also had a detention center called the Salt Pit, where so much torture was carried out the US government had to create formal CIA guidelines on how they were to conduct interrogation. This was mainly because of Gul Rahman in 2002, who died from hypothermia. This guy was chained to a wall and left overnight half naked as part of his interrogation. For over 2 decades, this base was only visible in satellite photographs and only spoken of by survivors who escaped. And now that the Americans have completely left Afghanistan, the base is dead. It's been burned to cinders. The sudden departure of the American troops saw helicopters whisking everyone away from the base. Everything that had any kind of secret information was burned, and the entire complex is now a ruin. Thanks for watching. What kinds of classified films do you think are being stored at Lookout Mountain Laboratory? Let us know your theories in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more awesome videos. See you next time. Bye!